Sup YouTubers, it's me Jaguar Productions doing you a TV show review on Spider-Noir. Now after I just finished watching the show with Nicolas Cage, and I have to say, I feel like this might be one of the most unique and nicely well adapted shows on superheroes we had in quite a while. Like the fact that this version is where Spider-Man takes place in the 1930s as a detective, wearing goes to smoky jazz clubs, trench coats, mob bosses, Great Depression corruption, as well as black and white visuals. And with this Spider-Man being a private investigator and detective, instead of a traditional superhero, is very unique. What's really incredible about the show is its atmosphere and presentation. You can tell just how it's written. The creators were able to fully commit to the very aesthetic part of noir, instead of treating the story like it's some kind of gimmick, like what Sony's done with Mobius or Venom and Carnage, Craven the Hunter, and Madam Web. Not to mention the shadows, narration, old school dialogue makes the show feel like a very classic Sherlock detective film. And the fact that people are allowed to watch the show in either black and white or color is really nice touch, kind of like with WandaVision. Even tons of people on YouTube say that the black and white version is a very definite experience. It's the preferred experience for the show, and I can totally see why, because I too have also seen it in black and white. And as for Nicolas Cage, he really carries a lot in the show. I'm not saying that in a bad way. He really just does a nice job as Noir. Especially when you take into account of his previous experience as Noir in the Spider-Verse films. As we know, for the show, instead of him playing Peter Parker, he plays as Ben Reilly, who is also known as the Spider, and he's a retired vigilante haunted by his past, which is no surprise because lots of heroes are like that. And instead of him giving off a usual energetic Spider-Man personality like what other Spider-Man give off, this version is a tired, cynical, emotionally broken type of character. Nicolas Cage really gives off a very good performance of that version of the character, and which is very entertaining too. For 1 minute he's delivering noir monologues like an old Sherlock detective film, and the next minute later he's throwing out his usual Nicolas Cage energy, which just fits into the whole story in a bold story. And also, if I'm being honest, this might be one of the best live-action performances we've ever seen from a related Spider-Man project in a while. Especially taking into account of all the previous projects Sony has put out, whether it's in live-action or in animation. Now for the story, it's not I wouldn't say it's entirely great. It wasn't bad either, but I'm not saying I was fully blown away by it. I was still enjoyed by it. The mystery, going into the mysteries of it all was pretty solid. Wasn't not in a mind-blowing type of way. Some of its twists were pretty predictable, how Cat Hardy revealed to one of the doctors that Ben Reilly is the Spider. And of course, it has a lot of interesting conflicts and settings, with its corrupt politicians and crime bosses controlling the city, which is not so surprising considering it's been done before by other crime-related shows and movies, especially with ones like The Batman or Godfather and stuff like that. Really, it doesn't do anything special with that, but it was still enjoyable nonetheless. What's really interesting, what makes this show really work, it's because of its style, tone, and commitment to Noir's identity, to its identity of the character. Unlike a lot of others, unlike a lot of other superhero show content, Spider-Noir just gets off a different feeling. It's more slower, moodier, more dialogue heavy, and way more character focused than other superhero shows, like whether in live action or cartoon. Now, when talking about its the visual arts, some of its scenes look pretty insane. Like you could just tell that there are some shots in the show that just feel kind of just lit, like straight out of a comic book panel. As for the casting, supporting cast, they're pretty strong too. Like Laura Morris as Robert Robinson adds a lot of personality, whereas Jun Lee fits perfectly into the female fatale role, and of course you got Brenda Gleeson as Silvermane. Feels very intimidating every time it's on screen. Kind of gives off those other feelings other crime bosses give, like Kingpin from Daredevil or Falcone from Batman. Like it really just gives off that usual good crime boss type of vibe, you know, all about business. One thing I find really appreciating with the show, it doesn't try to constantly remind you it's connected to a larger universe. It just kind of stands on its own. It's just kind of doing its own thing. You know, it's like you could just tell from the creators were more focused on making a good noir series and a superhero show later on. And I think that was a good choice for the Sony producers. Like, I think that was a good choice. Now, I'm not sure to say if the show is for everyone. I mean, if depending on what you like. If you prefer some good old Marvel action on action every few minutes, the show might be too slow. But then again, if you're into good old detective stories and psychological characters, old school films like Batman, I'd say it's for you. Now, given overall the show, for consideration, I think I was originally thinking of giving it a 10 out of 10 because I just thought it seemed absolute perfection. But after a while, I'm gonna put it down to a 9. Like I had no complaints with the show really. I mean, the only reason I gave it to one less point out is because my personal wish that it had somewhere in the show, it had a little scene where Noir had a little candle in his finger, letting it go down his fingertips, then him saying no power comes no responsibility. It would have been kind of a nice reference to the other Noir because he said a similar thing like that back in the Spider-Verse films. Because like he let a match burn down to his fingertips just to feel something. It would have been kind of an interesting reference. Like all in all, the show was very enjoyable. I think it's definitely one of the best shows Sony's ever offered. Best projects Sony has ever offered, along with Spider's films, Sam Raimi, and Tom Holland Spider-Man. Like it's just really nice to see Sony give off a story that's actually worth watching. Like the show is very unique in terms of its style and atmosphere. And Nicolas Cage completely understanding his character role. Like I think it was better as Noir than he was as Ghost Rider, in my opinion. And sure, the plot wasn't completely perfect, but the show's vibe was very strong and it doesn't matter much. And personally, I do hope the show gets renewed for a season 2, and hopefully Sony makes note of this to make other projects worthwhile watching. Like they could probably take into consideration making other shows like focus on Penny Parker or Spider-Ham, like from the Spider-Verse films. Like I think that'll be something. I feel like Sony should consider doing something like that. And so anyway, that's my review for Spider-Noir. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more videos by Jaguar Productions. Peace. Stay tuned for my next video.